What's one card you would have wanted to see unbanned?
I know my answer.
Go ahead, Colin. You start with a C, so you can go first.
Boat.
Boat. Mohammed?
Red Purple Law. Asterisk. Choice restricted with Black Maria, but I miss playing that deck, man.
In 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome back, guys. It's Colin with the Sun Pirates TCG, joined today with Trevor and Mohammed.
How's it going, guys?
How's it going?
And yeah, as you can tell, this is our next episode of the IchinoseSound podcast, episode 9, I believe. And this time we have a 3-man. Been a while.
Been a while. Copyright.
Yeah, so let's just jump straight into the topics for today. So, based on the timing of this, I guess you guys could imagine we are talking about the very big news that came out last week for the One Piece card game. We spent a little bit of time kind of mulling it over. Didn't really want to do a video right as it drops, just so we could get our thoughts together. And quite frankly, 20 other content creators already put out their thoughts the day of, right? So
didn't want to give you guys a gut reaction. We wanted a bit more time to process.
Yeah, but anyways, so let's get into the first half of it, which is the ban list. So, for those of you who may not be aware, we have 4 cards banned as of April 1st. This is globally, so it does apply to us, which is Gecko Moria, Ice Age, the 4-cost Jinbei, and Raigo, or Kingdom Come. So, very, very big hits, obviously, to Lucci and Doflamingo. And honestly, this is a significant hit to NL, which I think was fair given that removal as a whole, well, quite frankly, black as a whole was heavily nerfed, so they didn't want one color to just master all the removal, I suppose. But yeah, and obviously with Jinbei being gone, I think Dofi is still a deck for the most part, but obviously it just loses that explosiveness that we're used to. But what do you guys think about it?
Trevor, want to go first, or you want me to say?
I'll take my take on it. As somebody who's newsflash, guys, I'm coming back into the game after quite a bit of a break, and my thoughts on the ban list is it's really nice. I think they've done a good job of hitting the cards that were the problem of the formats going for us in America going forward. I think the biggest issue that I have with this is that and it's only because we watch, for us here, we get to watch a lot of the future content as well. It's nice to see Rob Lucci and Dofi taken care of for set 10, but set 10 is a very short format when it comes to our competitive season in comparison whenever we start to see EBO2 and OP11. I would have loved to see some future hits, which is Giant. I know everyone, that's the big one in the room, right?
The Boogeyman.
Yeah. But I definitely think that the ban list was good. Took a long time on the Gecko ban, but we'll talk about that as we get further into this. I think I don't want to dwell too much on it. Other than that, I enjoy the ban list. I think they hit really well. Jinbei was actually the surprise of Dofi. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I want to actually get opinions on that. Were you expecting the Jinbei hit, or were you expecting other cards? Because there were so many cards people were predicting for Dofi bans.
So, as the person in the group who plays Dofi the most, I think Jinbei is a fine way to hit the deck. I think the deck still survives without Jinbei. The issue with Jinbei is Jinbei's only as good. I've said his name so many times. He's only as good as the card you can play off of him. So inherently, in any game, a body that plays a free body of the same cost or mana value or whichever it is usually very strong and leads to very unbalanced gameplay. But again, a lot of them are only as strong as the cards they can play. So you can look back before the starter deck, and Dofi wasn't really a problem, even though he still had Jinbei. It's just everything in the starter deck pushed it over the top. Personally, I kind of wish that they hit 2-cost Teach instead, since that's the one that enables a lot more of the egregious plays by looping your 4-cost laws. But I think hitting Jinbei to slow down the pace of the deck is also a fine way to try and rein it in a little without killing it. So I can't be too upset. Also, frankly, they did make a post later on detailing why they made all the hits they did, and it's 3 of them was because they limit future game design, which was pretty true, which is all of them except for Raigo, and then Raigo was, this card synergized too well, and by too well I mean better than expected with an L, so we're banning it. Which is Can't argue that point.
Yeah, I mean, to the point of Jinbei limiting future design, I think that would be... I actually think for Dofi players, the more I think about it, it is a good thing for them in a way, because it gives Bandai the ability to print more 7 Warlord 4 drops for the deck. Like, if they want to continue supporting the leader without making it, like, way over the top because Jinbei was still a thing, that could be a way where it just opens up design space for them.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean,
depending on how long Dofi stays around as a leader, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
I mean, the deck has been very dominant in the formats he's been around in since, I believe, 8.5 is where the starter deck's released.
Yeah.
And he hasn't gotten support since the starter decks, and since 500 years, there haven't been any Warlord cards to come out. And I don't know how long Bandai's design cycle is. I don't know how many sets out they've designed for. But it's like something to note that while Jinbei existed, they just always had to keep it in mind for designing, which isn't great. And similarly for Moria, every big boss monster they put into black is just always compared to Moria. Like if you look at Sabo from also set 7, the secret rare, it's not like it's a bad card, but why would I ever play it when I could play a Moria? That was always the statement, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
right.
I'm fairly happy with the hits. I can't really complain. I think we will likely have another list before set 11 if the meta develops the way people expect it to. But that waits to be seen, of course. Maybe there's going to be some innovation. Also, since over here in the West we're going to have the starter decks on the release of set 11, that's some other news to talk about. But since we'll have the starter decks with set 11, we could have a potentially very different format than Japan's set 11. We just have to see what those could potentially do for us.
Yeah. I guess this leads into our next point of like, we'll talk about the elephant in the room here. What else do we think should have been hit? And obviously, I think the one card in everyone's minds is Gum Gum Giant, right?
Yeah.
The card's
Giant is
a little
definitely
bit too crazy.
So the thing is, I think Giant is fair in the purple shells that aren't that it was being played in Purple Luffy, and
it's okay right now for us.
Yeah, for us it's fine.
Yeah.
Because the boogeyman of set 11, Blue Purple Luffy, isn't out. But when you give Blue Purple Luffy a very strong late game deck, not really an early game deck, the survivability tool, it becomes very overbearing.
I think even with Green Purple Luffy, having that extra survivability with as fast as the deck is like also makes it a little bit overbearing. I know you don't fully agree with that, but I still think so.
I'll be open about saying I will be the not proponent, the opposite of a proponent. I think that it's
Opponent.
fine with it. Is that it?
I guess so.
I will be the opponent to your argument. I think that green purple is fine with the Giant. I think it gives it the sustainability it needs to cross the finish line, and without it, it kind of just like doesn't have that sustainability.
And real quick before we pass over, new merch idea. I am the proponent to your opponent.
Get that hat made.
Yeah.
I am your not proponent.
Giant is definitely like the boogeyman of the next few sets coming out, barring 10, right? 10 is technically not out yet. It comes out. Well, it came out today. Actually,
time of recording, it is out.
Yeah, it is out. But something I do want to notate is like Ice Age. Like, so we've talked on Gecko and Jinbei a little bit, but the Ice Age hit is so massive. Not even just like Gecko.
It is.
Like we did like we don't think. Well, we do think about it because we play the game a lot. But like one Dawn -5, and it's so funny. That card was bad on release. That's crazy.
It was unplayable on release.
That card was bad on release.
It wasn't until Sakazuki where it got.
Yeah, it wasn't until set 5 until you could like consistently use it with blue cards. It wasn't even with the black cards that came out.
Yeah, it was so you could Hound Blaze.
Yeah. It's like it's. You know, it's the cool thing about One Piece is that card design can make sure that cards, even from old, can come back and do so well. Like, Dofi leader in and of itself. That leader, like, yes, it's really strong, but, like, there are leader power, like leaders that have been printed with effects that it's just like, why is that even printed? How is that an effect? That's a little too egregious. Sakazuki is, like, an example, right? But, like, Dofi came back in a strong way because of the structure decks, and That's such an amazing thing. It's a scary thing though too, and that was pointed out by the fact that like Ice Age had to get hit 2 years after it came out. Like that card is literally old, as in like almost release of the game format old. Like it's bad.
I thought you were gonna take that in a totally different direction. I thought you were gonna be like, they could make Iceberg the best. Like, why did they print Iceberg? Yeah. This starter deck's why. Iceberg tier 0 meta, baby.
They might one day. Who knows?
That's the thing, though. Like, technically, Iceberg reads really strong. Remember, I want the commenters to try. Anyone who was around during, like, Set 1, Set 2 early days, in the announcement of Iceberg, I want to know who else was freaking out about a card that said, -1 Dawn, play a 5 cost. Someone out there tell me. Please be honest with yourself.
I remember our locals were freaking out about it. They're like, this is gonna be, the format is ruined, is what they were saying. I think.
Colin, we so as with some Pirate Crew, Colin is definitely like he came later to the game.
I saw the reveals too at the time.
Okay.
I was freaking out about it. I was like, dude, free stuff for no reason. We just like very heavily underestimated how big of a detriment not attacking with your leader is.
Yeah. No,
like,
absolutely.
Because he didn't have an island at that point, right? That came later.
He did.
No, he did.
Okay.
No, he did. That's the worst.
I think he wasn't revealed with it, but people were like still freaking out when they saw what the leader did.
No.
Right?
We were freaking out up until the point Japan got the deck, and it was bad. Because it had a searchable, it had a stage that costed no dawn after it was played. Like, it was the first stage that was a searcher, right? So it was the first stage that was a searcher.
Well, it was Onigashima.
Yeah, it was. It had a searcher, is what it was.
They had a 1-drop searcher for it.
Because Onigashima, we didn't have any of the purple searchers for it yet.
Yep. So it had a 5 cost for free, in theory, is what we thought was going to be so game breaking. And then it had some crazy cards, like Kaku had Banish, Rob Lucci had, I think, or the Lucci
could rest a guy.
Yeah,
there was like a guy. There was some crazy
the Luffy
cards.
had Rush, you just hard played him or something.
Yeah.
We're like, this deck does everything. How do you beat it? And then it was like unplayable. It just didn't. Your leader not attacking, turns out, is very detrimental.
Yeah.
I don't want to dwell on it too much. That's such a fun thing to think about with One Piece, and that's like, again, where Ice Age is such a cool ban. It's cool to see a card like that get banned, and I know that sounds weird to say, but it's just like that is so. It shows that future gameplay can be very like Zoro leader could be banned. Like there could be a chance that Zoro leader gets banned. Yeah, and
he might be back now.
And that's why I brought him up now, is because I think he is back. Like he has a really good chance.
Honestly, I'm kind of glad removal and black as a color is nerfed as heavily as it was, because it might seem heavy-handed, especially to people that were maining Lucci for however long. Sorry, Arvind.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. But like from the opposite side, I'm going to speak for the opposite side of people that haven't been playing black or don't play black at all.
The not proponent.
Yeah, to summon your boss monster like your 9-drop Zoro, your 9-drop Newgate, like your 10-drop Kaido Big Mom Tag Team GX, to pay all that Dawn for your big awesome play, and then to have it go Ice Age Moria was like the worst feeling. It was the worst feeling.
It's like extra bad too, because you basically say, I'm gonna pass back, like for Kaido Linlin especially, it's like, I'm going to use all the Dawn at my disposal and I'm gonna pass back to you. And you know, if it gets back to me, I'm doing something cool. And they're like,
yeah,
Ice Age Moria, and you're like, my cool play is gone. I just passed to you for free.
Or even like Ice Age Jack, and I'm like,
yeah, no, that was like so again, I brought it up earlier, like I quit the game for a bit. Like that was a big part of me quitting the game, was I just like the game design was so locked in on this like, ooh, do you have the removal or not? And that was like something that I'm not a huge fan of when it comes to like card game design, because that was not fun. I didn't adopt that playstyle, and I regret it, but I didn't adopt it, and it was not fun to watch. Oh, do you have the Moria? No. Okay, I win. Like that's just how this was.
The DY mirror in a nutshell.
Exactly,
Yeah,
right. And it was so. It's very. I'm very excited to see what this format is going to bring. Red Green Smoker is in contention because of the bans even more than it already was, I think. Reiju, which Colin is really hyped about, I think, is coming back and could be really strong. I think some pieces need to be solved there in terms of the ratios, but other than that, looking good. Zoro, my main contender, which is really exciting to see, is coming back. But what about you guys? Are you guys excited for anything with this hit coming back? Like, what other than, like, I've already hinted of a few for us, but
Yeah, like
I'm just excited that the format's much more open because, frankly,
okay,
when we compared when we were looking at set 10's meta in Japan, it was basically like a set 9.5, which isn't really what you want from a set, and it kind of showed. As a market guy, I'll talk about it like this. It kind of showed in like pre-sales for set 10 boxes. So normally for a one-piece set, they'll start off higher, and then they'll fall, and then they'll start trending back up. But for set 10 in specific, boxes were like 100 to like 120. They were basically MSRP, and that's at pre-sale, which isn't a good sign because that means that on release they're going to fall below that.
no.
And normally one-piece sets are like 150 to like 160 on pre-sale because usually that means they're going to have some kind of impact. But post-hit, boxes currently are like 130, 140, and that's after the release of the set. So it's like people are aware that like stuff now is going to like be useful, which is nice to see. It's nice to know that we're not going into a format that's just a rehash of last format, but with like maybe something new.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people, upon seeing the ban list, were kind of dooming it. They were saying, oh man, Blackbeard wasn't hit whatsoever. It's going to ruin the format, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, Blackbeard is strong. Don't get me wrong, right? But because Dofi and Lucci are so heavily nerfed, it lets a lot of other decks play. And those decks, like, Smoker is actually a good example, actually have pretty good game into Blackbeard. So, like, I just don't know what the best deck is now.
It's like even what Trevor was talking about with Zoro.
Yeah.
Zoro is very good into Blackbeard. Like he basically does what Dofi does, but he also gets to play a bunch of rushers and attack.
But he couldn't exist in a world of Dofi and Lucci. That was
it was. Trust me, guys. I played it in set 8. I wish I could have played it longer, but it just doesn't work. Lucci popped your board every turn, and Dofi just kept bouncing your bricks back to your hand, and you just couldn't play.
Yeah.
But it's like with those two decks being nerfed, and now also being nerfed, and then now Blackbeard trying to take center stage, you have these new decks, or even older decks, coming back into the format because of that. And it's like, I could frankly, there are also something I was going to touch on with Trevor, but there's not very many regionals in this set 10 format before we get the extra booster. I believe there's like 3 or 4. There's Pasadena, Virginia Beach, and then the store regionals.
Yep.
Which it's like, it's not very many, and because of that, just we don't know where the meta is going to be. There's like 8 decks I'm considering for Virginia, maybe more. It's like we just don't know what's good yet, because like everything now has a shot because there's no longer like these 2 gatekeeper decks that if your deck just loses 2, you just can't play it.
Yep. No,
I mean,
go ahead, Colin. Go on.
I was just gonna say, like, even Zoro is hyped up to be like, at least currently on Sim as of recording this, it has one of the highest, if not the highest win percentage on the Sim. But even then, it's like Zoro's still like a very beatable deck. Like, there are plenty of cards every color can play to deal with it. So
Right.
Once people adjust, it's that, okay, now who's the next top dog, right? I don't think there is one.
Real quick, before we leave it, we don't have to deal on this long because I hate the deck anyways. Raigo getting banned, it was just a shot at NL because if NL did not get Raigo banned after this ban list, that was best deck in format. That's what that deck said if it had Raigo.
Probably.
It's
again,
just Raigo's a suppressive card.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to the whole thing again of like, I'm playing green or red. I'm playing my big cool boss monster.
Yeah.
Raigo. Oh.
It's not even like it's your whole turn either.
Right.
You get to like Raigo and then still have 4 Dawn up. It's like
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because like the combo is like against like Smoker, you just go Raigo their kit or Kuzan their kit, the Rosinante
Tashigi.
blocker.
Or it's
Yeah,
Tashigi,
whatever, the Rosinante or the Tashigi that they just played, and then just Raigo the kid, and it's like, wait a minute, what the
Yeah,
what did I just what did I just play?
nice protection, idiot. Who's on your guy? Discard a card. Raigo, you're big idiot. I still get to have 2 life on my turn. Go.
Yeah.
Poke you for 5. Take a damage. But yeah, there was a bit more interesting news, as I was saying. we have a rotation, and we also got confirmed. I don't know if we talked about this or touched on it, but we're confirmed to be globalizing the game. That's another big point. The One Piece game is going to be globalized between East and West by 2026. And also in 2026, we'll have our first rotation. So their sets are going to be made in blocks of 4. So sets 1 to 4 are block 1, 2 or 5 to 8 are block 2, so on and so forth. Yeah. And they're going to be rotating 1 block every year.
Yeah.
To my understanding.
Turns out there was a purpose to these little numbers at the gum fruits at the bottom of cards. You know, I didn't even notice these were here until they mentioned it. I was like, oh.
I feel like we mentioned it like the first time we saw a change in like set 5, and then we just forgot about it because we're on set 10.
Yeah, I'm just now looking at like cards now. I'm like, oh yeah, they did have these numbers this whole time.
They did have these numbers.
I didn't even realize.
But yeah, rotation is also confirmed to be happening. That was confirmed for April of 2026. We don't know if that's when they plan to have the globalization happen or not. We just know that globalization is planned for 2026. But yeah, honestly, I'm personally, as a player of TCGs, I'm very happy to hear about a rotation. So if you look at the 3 largest card games, or at least what were the 3 largest card games, I don't know if they still hold their position as the 3 largest. I know 2 of them do. But Magic and Pokemon, which are both the 2 largest, and do have rotation. And the third one, Yu-Gi-Oh!, which does not, and is the only one that I believe might be knocked out of the top 3 if it hasn't been already. Yeah, it's like when you look at Magic and Pokemon, for the longevity of a game, having a rotation is very good, because it's very hard to get new players into your game or have players stick with your game when the card pool is just always expanding and like never shrunken, and it always leads to these big like crazy interactions. So like you look at Yu-Gi-Oh's ban list, and it's like, I think it's over 100 cards that are just like all hit. And it's like, that's never good for a game. And it would be solved if they just like had a rotation, but it's ingrained out of their system. But you look at Magic, and they have these eternal formats, which they did confirm they're doing for us as well. Where we can play with the older cards. We have to see how well they handle it, but I'm excited. I'll start with that. I'll see what you guys have to say.
So I'll put my 2 cents in here. I'm pretty much in agreement with everything you just said, Mohammed. I've played both Pokemon and Magic for a decent number of years, so I've lived through rotations. I know that sounds kind of funny. I've survived
so old.
Rotations. I'm old, man.
You're old.
No, but I've experienced rotations for both of those games, and it's been fine. Like, yeah, was I sad to see some cards that I enjoyed leave? Sure, but there were other cards that I hated that also left, which I was happy about. So it's like a lateral feeling for the most part. Do I think One Piece needed a rotation? That's a tough question. I think overall, I think the answer is yes. Eventually, it would have needed one, and I know there has been a huge argument going around of like, oh, is this too early to implement the rotation? I don't think so. I'm gonna say no. That's my stance on it, and the reason for that is that we've already experienced cards from older sets that we just were tired of playing. It was like having that effect of player fatigue. Moria was an example of that until it finally got banned. Ice Age actually is also a good example of that. Even older cards too, like, not that necessarily people are complaining about it, but you know, Otama being
I was just
a
about to
mainstay
say.
in red decks. Things like that, I think, is healthy for the game to have, you know, to like go into like a fresh start every year with a lot of old staples rotating out in a way. Like, it's sad to see some of your favorites card rotated away, don't get me wrong, but like for the overall, like the greater good of the game, I suppose,
I think this is
it
the
does
best
feel
way to
nice
put
to have the fresh start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, for the longevity of a game, you want to make sure that the game stays fresh, and you don't want the like card pool people play with to be too big, because it, similar to the ban list, it nerfs your ability to like design new cards. So if you look at like green, for example, right now, it's really hard to give green a boss monster that's better than set 1 kid. But like, is set 1 kid
Right.
ban worthy?
Right. Right, and that's always a discussion we'll go back and forth on like every format, right?
Exactly.
Is Kid too good? But yeah. And so, Trevor, I want to actually get your perspective on this. Like, yours is the one I'm most interested in because you actually haven't been playing card games for very long. One Piece is actually your first real card game, correct?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, my thoughts are this. I think this actually should have been implemented, like, sooner. Like, way sooner. Understandably, they say they couldn't because, like, there was not enough cards in the game to show that it was, like, worthwhile having rotation. But, like, the perfect example of a card that has stayed its welcome for way too long, even though it's not in a powerful color anymore, is Otama. And, like, for black, it's Ice Age. Ice Age was actually better, has been better longer than even Gecko was. Because Ice Age became good in Sakazuki, which was out before Gecko. In yellow, there's, like, Aatrop Katakuri. There are cards in each of these colors that are just seeing way too much play for too long. And it's like, they need to let us go from those. These, like, traditionally, like, generic cards that are just way too good in any color. Yeah, even as a new card game player, I'm for this. Just make sure... I think they did it right. I think it's long enough on the rotations, like 1 through 4, like sets of 4, like 4 sets at a time. I think that's a really good length of time for each set, or for each rotation block. Other than that, though, I have no complaints. I could see people having complaints as they, like, can't play their favorite cards anymore eventually. Understandably so, they are going to print out reprints, but how are they going to do the reprints is my question. Unless they've already announced that.
I was going to say, they did announce that they're going to be reprinting cards to keep them in rotation, and the first example they gave, funny enough, was a 1-drop Searcher Nami from set 1.
Wow.
So they also stated you could play with all of your previous printings. It doesn't matter what block number it has at the bottom, so long as it's still in rotation, which is a common thing from the other games.
Yeah.
Just as long as the card is in the current format, you're allowed to play any copy. So it's not like your old Ultras will lose their value because of that.
It's just like Magic and Pokemon. You can play with your old Ultra Balls, your old Llanowar Elves, things like that.
Okay,
Exactly.
that's cool.
So it's like, we don't know if they're going to do it by playing them in starter decks, or if they're going to, like, make so that PRB sets have the new symbols in the bottom, or if they're going to start putting them in some extra boosters, or like a side reprint set type of deal. But they did confirm they're reprinting some cards. They confirmed that every manga rare is going to be an eternal staple.
Funny enough, Nami is also a manga rare,
Nami is also, funny enough, a manga rare, so she's staying in the format.
So
but
I wanted to actually touch on that a little bit. I would love to see something like I don't know what card game this does it, but I feel like there is a card game out there that does it. But, like, I want to, like, let's say set 11 was not printed yet. We didn't know what set 11 has, and block rotation was in effect, and sets 1 through 4 were out. What I would love to see is they handpick certain cards from sets 1 through 4 and reprint those in set 11 as, like,
Magic
either,
and
like,
Pokemon do that.
That's what it is. Okay. And I would love to see them do it as, like, either not box toppers, because those are an old thing that they don't need to be doing anymore because it limits the cards at that point very heavily. But I don't know if you'd call them box toppers, but was it set 2, Mohammed, that they reprinted, like, the reprint pack?
There was a dash pack with set 4.
That's what it was.
And Europe is getting a dash pack with set 10, I believe. But
there's also the revision pack in set 2.
We did get the revision pack in set 2 that reprinted the star deck cards with erratas.
That's what I would love to see them do, is, like, pick, like, 1 or 2 cards from each color from, like, sets 1 through 4 and reprint them into, like, a new set. Maybe just 1 card of each color, because it would be too many through the 4 sets that would be in the next 4 rotations, while the other 4 are being kicked out. But that's something that I would love to see in effect.
They could do like a box topper reprint pack, like call it like the reprint pack or something. Just put it in the newer boxes. Just have, like you said, 2 cards for each color to just keep in the rotation.
Like, that'd be cool. Like, if, for example, if you really wanted Secret Rare Katakuri back, like, the card's not really expensive anymore, but print it in a new art, make it like a 1 in 4 pack or something.
Yeah.
And 1 per box, so, like, the card is still, like, at least semi-valuable, and it'll be in a different artwork or something. That way, people with the old alt art, they'll still retain value, and you can still play with them.
Yes.
If you invested into those.
Yep.
Something like that.
And still make it accessible to new players to get them if they need them.
Exactly.
I know Magic and Pokemon. Magic does it 2 different ways, but Magic and Pokemon primarily will just, like, straight put the cards in the set, which I don't think Bandai will do.
Yeah.
Because they try to keep the set numbers true. But Magic has this thing called the list, where they'll print an old version of a card into a new pack as a bonus card at the back of the pack. And it's not in every pack, it's just in some of them, and that they're not like standard legal, but like Bandai could use them to make them standard legal potentially.
Maybe if instead of like the Dawn slot or the leader slot in a pack, maybe use that slot.
Yeah, instead of exactly, that would be a good way to do it. Instead of getting a Dawn, like your box has like a chance to have one of these, that would work.
Well, and my main reason for this is, first off, I don't want all of set 1 reprinted. That's the first thing. And I know
that's not currently, to my understanding, that's not happening.
No, absolutely, right? But I don't want set 1 reprinted. I don't want all the useless cards reprinted either. I want them to go through the meta, because they have the power to do this. Go through the metas and see what was good back then. If, reprint... I would love to see, in set 1, right? Let's go ahead and reprint Blocker Boa, because that was probably the best card in blue. 8-drop Kid for green. Rush Zoro for red. And so on and so forth, right? Hand pick specific cards. Don't just throw in Momo from green, right? Like the Momo searcher.
7-9 Urashima, my boy.
Yeah, right? Make it worth it. Make it fun. Make it where deck building actually is a thing now, where I don't have access to 8-drop Kid. Oh, but they're reprinting it in this set. Now I can figure out how to slot 8-drop Kid back into my Smoker deck if it comes out of rotation. That type of thing.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. And also, I think they're doing it at a good time where before April, we should have set 14 released. So if they rotate the first 4 sets, we still have, 10 sets to work with.
Yeah.
As well as the first 4 manga rares plus Nami.
Yep.
To still work with.
Now, I will raise this question, though. Should leaders be reprinted for future books?
I think...
Because I think that's actually the biggest point of contention amongst the community.
That's a fair point, though.
I think some of them should. I don't think all of them should. I think some leaders have overstayed their welcome.
Doflamingo.
yeah, Zoro.
I didn't say he didn't.
No, but that's the thing, though, right? We don't reprint any of those leaders because they can overstay their welcome. Because a set, we came out with a Dofi structure deck that printed 2 or 3 cards, and it got 1 card in a set, and it became, or 2 cards in a set, and it became the best deck in meta. I don't want to see that. I want them to give me a reason to play the new leaders, right? There is.
Yeah, but I want to help Small Hat Chris by making sure Blurple Croc lives.
Now, here's an idea.
But legitimately, I think some of these leaders were overshadowed by their other, the other leaders in the set, and they might have a chance to shine outside of it.
Now, here's another idea. What if they just printed new leaders? What if they just printed more leaders per set? And when I say more, I mean 1 or 2 more. And those extra 1 or 2 leaders. Numbers. No, well, and those extra 1 or 2 leaders are sort of reprints of Zoro. We'll have a new Zoro leader, but it'll have a different effect. But it'll be like a retrain. It'll pay homage to the old Zoro playstyle, but it won't be the exact same.
Maybe do a revamp so that they're slightly better or worse.
Like a revamp, like what they did to Sakazuki or RP Law, but don't make the new leader dog shit.
Yeah.
Right? They gotta buff Blurple Croc. He's a little too weak, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll buff Blurple. Yeah, we'll buff Blurple Croc.
I don't disagree with that play. I think that's a really good idea. If they reprinted Zoro but made it where and I know this is saying a little bit of a weird effect, but make it where the +1, they retrain him where the +1K can only go to 3 drops and lower or 2 drops and lower. Make it where he's
or just
not
Straw Hats.
The issue with just Straw Hats, though, is it limits his amount of cards he can put in his deck because they're doing the rotation thing, right? Red Straw Hat cards were not printed to the extent they were in set 1 and 2, so he would the deck wouldn't be that good, right? And I'm not saying I want to kill the deck. I want to make the deck interesting.
I don't know. There's a lot of starter decks worth of red Straw Hat cards. I think you're underestimating how many red Straw Hats we got, man.
But I see what Trevor's saying, though.
But yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, the reason that I think Zoro is strong in back in the day and even now is 5-drop Marco. That card is way overstayed its welcome, and it's because in Zoro it's just a 5-drop 7K, and it can't die. Or Zoro. Zoro is the 3-drop rush is a 6-drop or a 3-drop 6K, that type of stuff with rush printed on it. Those are the types of things that make a leader broken because of the design that they have initially. Make it interesting. Make me think about my deck design more than just like, ooh, let me put a bunch of weenies in my deck, or let me put like some good weenies and then these busted 5-drops and an 8-drop that puts dude on my leader for free.
All right,
yeah, can you imagine like Red Green Law beat, or imagine Red Green Law coming back but they changed the effect slightly, maybe like a little bit more powerful in one way, but balanced back another way.
Yes.
Or change his card pool a little bit.
Yes.
It's like you look at what Green Yellow Law does, and it's like it's what like Red Green Law should have done, but like without the life part.
Sort of, but it's just like keep to the same color, so like people can still play with like a few of their original favorites, like 1-drop Searcher Nami or
5-drop blocker Law. Which is like
5-drop blocker Law. Maybe
card.
that gets reprinted. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I could dig that.
Absolutely.
I don't know, I'm pretty hyped for it overall, though. I think they could like really, especially because like with the supposedly with them working on an expanded format, it means that like a lot of these cards that were banned because people were tired of seeing them or they're like too strong here, they could just come back in that format and you can play them there. Because like honestly, if everything gets like unbanned, who knows what's the best deck in like expanded, right? Like there could be some people could do some nutty stuff, right?
I don't want to think about that.
I know you're going to have a Boatbeard deck ready and sleeved up.
Well,
Trevor.
no, but the thing is, though, is like if we release every card on the deck, I'm just playing Nami.
You think? You don't think Boatbeard
Kabaji
competes?
should probably stay.
Dude, there is a reason people say you could unban every card on this list. No, I'm not saying you could, right? But if you there's talks, right? If you unban every card, you still have to keep Kabaji banned. That's
okay,
how
but there are
broken
talks
that
about
card
that
is.
like in every direction, though. There are people that said that about Reject. There are people that say that about Kabaji. There are people that say that about NES Lobby. So it's like realistically, without playing it, we don't know. But it's like that's what I'm saying. I think that it would be obviously that format can have its own ban list. I'm not saying it can't. I'm just saying like the potential exists for them to just be like, all right, let's have like now that these cards are rotated, now that you can't play them anymore in standard, run wild and expanded.
Yeah, I can understand that. Make a wild format like Hearthstone has type stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I could see it.
Like
Did you have a-
stuff
really
rotated is
interested-
too strong for right now, but like when everything else is rotated and free, like why not?
Yeah. Speaking of Kabaji, I would actually like maybe a slight tangent here. I'm actually interested on how they would handle Nami post rotation, because I feel like a lot of Nami players are unhappy with the news because like Nami players especially identify very heavily with the archetype.
Yep.
From what I've seen, like a lot of Nami players are like die-hard Nami players. It's what they identify with. It's what they take pride in a way. For that to rotate, I wonder how Bandai would address that. Like, would all the Nami stands have to play in their Eternal formats? And if so, does the Eternal format get reasonable tournament support? Or do they reprint, or like with the previous idea, do they reprint Nami leader in like a new way, where maybe it's still a self-mill deck, but it goes about it in a little bit of a different way?
Maybe
Perhaps.
the leader must attack every turn if it can attack. Like,
Yeah.
it's basically goated. They can't just damage deny you.
Yeah.
Something
like,
to that
'cause-
extent.
But that's like another thing exciting about rotations, because Nami in her current state is rotating. That opens up design space for new blue cards that could draw more cards.
Well,
Because I
All
feel
right,
like
what
that
if
was always a
all the
limiting
Nami
factor.
players add yellow cards to their deck and play blue-yellow Nami?
But then now you have to start attacking for damage, and that's icky.
real quick, I just want to pose two things. I think first thing I want to propose to you guys especially is, what would you have wanted to see unbanned? What's one card you would have wanted to see unbanned?
I know my answer.
Go ahead, Colin. You start with a C, so you can go first.
Boat.
Boat. Mohammed.
Red Purple Law. Asterisk. Choice restricted with Black Maria, but I miss playing that deck, man.
Okay.
It might be too strong. I don't know, but that deck was super fun. It's honestly some of the most fun I've had with the format That's why I
Okay.
think that green purple is really fun from what I've been playing on the sim. It's very reminiscent of that, just instead of removing stuff, your deck's more consistent.
Yeah.
But that's my answer.
No, it's a good answer. I'm definitely Colin, and definitely has the better answer than you. I'm sorry, but it's
Yeah,
fine.
no white-beard players.
Let's bring that back. Let me just shove my leader down your throat for 8K.
We never got to experience it at full power
Yep.
years ago. Just let us taste it. Just let
Now,
us taste it.
my next question is actually for the comments. I really want to know, because the card that we talked about a lot when it came to the ban list was Gecko. Going forward, and this can be proposed to Colin and Mohammed too, what do you guys feel? Was it too long to wait on Gecko to ban it? Do you think they waited the right amount of time? I know a lot of probably is going to say no, or say yes, they took too long. But really think about this, because I want to know if you guys think that there's other cards that are in the game right now that you're like, okay, why is this not banned yet? I don't think that there's necessarily any more cards like that have been around for so long and not been banned yet. But I want to propose that question to the commenters and Mohammed and Colin here.
So I'll start, I guess, because I love to talk.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you do.
so the thing with Gecko is nothing in the game did quite what Gecko did, where it's like you could have absolutely nothing in play and just play this one card and suddenly you have a full board.
Yeah.
But you have a full board and you interacted with your opponent's board. Before people start telling me Vince Smoke Judge does the same thing, he doesn't. And I don't think anything else is currently ban worthy. I mean, we've touched on it a few times where very few cards from set 1 are still played, and one of them's 8-cost Kid, and it's like when your boss monster still exists and has existed since the start of the game, it is very powerful. I don't think it's ban worthy, but it's the same strategy since set 1. It's like they need something else, but giving them something else when they still have this might be too much.
Yeah.
So that's again why rotation is a thing now. But
Yeah.
that's kind of my take on Gecko. I think Gecko was past his prime, he was starting to fall off a little bit, but for the health of because the rotation doesn't happen again. The rotation's not till April. It's not for another year. I don't want every black boss monster they make for the next year to be compared to Gecko, and I think that's fine. I think that they needed to ban him. If they should have banned him sooner, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So I remember when RP Law got banned. Because I remember we did a video with Chris on it as far as our ban list predictions, a night or two before RP Law got banned, and we talked about Gecko, and it was a very contentious topic, to say the least. Looking at Chris's comments, and I think even in my own comment section too, of should Gecko have been banned? I think, to my memory, what we said was that it's something that we thought should have been banned eventually, but not right at that moment in time. I'm thinking back in hindsight, and again, hindsight's always 2020.
Yeah.
It probably should have been banned sooner. It probably should have been banned at that ban list, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Because what came after was set 8, 8.5, and set 9, where he basically defined the format, especially set 8, where it's Lucci and Black Yellow Luffy.
Yep.
Those were the only two decks, and then Dofi came out, and then set 9, even still, Black Yellow Luffy was still amazing, cross won nationals with it, and Lucci was still amazing. It took a lot of the top slots.
Yeah.
In
And
nationals.
Dofi
It was
didn't
very
fall
heavily
off either.
represented.
You had a number
Actually-
of people putting up results.
Funny enough, both
Yeah.
both American nationals were won by BY Luffy. Yes, in different sets at the time, I believe. But yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Clyde,
Jackson,
and
Jackson
won
with
in
BY Luffy, too.
September,
Yeah.
and then
then
Cross won in January.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, BY Luffy especially is a deck that's near and dear to my heart because I won Treasure Cup with it. But even then, I still agree with the Gecko hit, and I think it probably should have been banned earlier because I think even both BY Luffy and Lucci were a bit too egregious with using Gecko. BY Luffy summoning double Sabo or summoning Kraken Luffy plus Sabo was way too much, and Lucci doing Gecko kill 2 bodies, have a blocker, and have a 6k attacker.
I just
much.
want to shout out
GG.
my boy Gecko Moria, the leader. He took all the cross shots He got caught in all the crossfire of these bans, dude.
He caught too
They
many
could have
strays,
just
bro.
they could have just said you can't play Gecko if your leader is not a Thriller Bard.
He
And
lost Great
Corona and
Eruption.
Gecko Moria.
He lost Great Eruption, and then he lost his boss monster.
He lost Ice Age. Too. He lost everything, man.
You know, it's funny. Like it's like
And Ice Age.
we'll end on that. I think we'll end on this funny little note. Gecko Moria and Ace the leader were both shot in every ban that has ever come out in this game's history.
Oh yeah, the
Ace,
Whitebeard bans.
yeah, Ace was shot all through set 1 through 6, and then Gecko Moria has been blasted through the rest.
Dude, I don't even. I was like trying to think of like a Gecko Moria deck list I could play. It's like only 4 draw. I can't even play anything. It's like mono 4s. I have to play the new Ryuma that gets double attack. It's like this isn't it, boss.
I mean, which I wonder if that's what they're planning on. Maybe if they're planning on printing a new boss monster for Gecko. That's just for Gecko. Like they'll do it the right way this time.
They could just errata Gecko that we have. Like actually, I would love to see them do that.
They could just like print a promo version of it, I guess. Like instead of errata, just make a new card.
Yeah.
Put it in like the Pirates Party promo pack or something to that extent.
We'll just have to see.
But yeah, I mean, but yeah, back to the whole design space thing. I agree. Like also for Black, I like the idea of them getting to print new Black boss monsters that don't have to power creep Gecko, but can just be good in their own way.
Yeah, the idea of power creeping Gecko is a little crazy. I'd rather
It's
not
already
do
crazy, I
that.
think. Yeah.
It's gonna happen though. It's just
Well, now it doesn't have to. That's the thing. Like they could just like, even if it's not like as strong as Gecko, or if it's as strong as Gecko but like locked to an archetype, like similar to like the Helmeppo Kobe play in the Kobe deck. I believe it's your leader has to be a Navy, or like it only plays Navy cards or something. But it's like it's still a strong play. Just you can only do it in this specific archetype. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Like when you think about it, was Gecko really a problem in Gecko Moria, or was Gecko a problem in everything else?
Yes.
Right. So before we end here, I just wanted to bring a couple last questions about rotation, just to address a bit of the contention in the community still. One issue a lot of people seem to have was the prices of cards. I've seen several comments in a lot of videos saying I don't really want to buy alt arts anymore because I'm worried that over time, once rotation rolls around, they're going to be worthless. What do you guys think on that?
I'll wait for Trevor to speak before I speak as a market
me and Mohammed are the entire opposites here.
Yeah, two opposite sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. No, that's fair. So my
pull out
opinion
my
is
binders. They're right here.
my opinion is you should never buy alt arts unless you actually like the card. And that's because it's at the end of the day, yes, a lot of this cardboard has gone up in value. I will give the game that, but it's the stock market of cardboard. No one can predict what this stuff's going to do. So I was never for alt arts. I still am not now, even more because of rotation. But I don't think you should be like super scared of buying them if that's your favorite. Again, that's my contention, right? Is like, don't just buy alt arts because you're crazy. Wink, wink. Buy alt arts because you like the cards. You actually enjoyed those cards.
He may or may not be talking to a specific person in this chat.
This is my set 10 bricks right here. Don't worry about them.
Yep. Well, and then we'll go to the other spectrum of what I believe is like, and no shame on Muhammad. It's all jokes here. His entire lunacy of what he's done about this game. But go ahead.
I really should record a video of my collection at some point. Maybe make it a short for you guys. But I love playing with alt arts, and I have a few statements to make. First and foremost, only buy cards you want to buy. Like, at the end of the day, this is a hobby. And when you buy stuff for a hobby, you shouldn't, like, consider it an investment. Because it's not an investment, it's a hobby. Like, treating this as a stock market isn't a good idea because it's so volatile. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, with the fact that they've announced there is going to be support and supposedly competitive support for their expanded format, which it will include all the sets, not just the ones that they're keeping in rotation, I wouldn't be very hesitant about alt arts at this moment. If we look at Magic specifically, they've done a very good job of keeping their expanded formats lively and valuable, and even making sets specifically tailored to them to make them more powerful. So if that's the case, I don't think that your alt arts will fall from that end. By contrast, Pokemon's expanded format, they said they were going to support it and they didn't, but stuff is still valuable for it because people like playing the format. And it's run as like a side event occasionally, but not supported competitively. So value still holds for those reasons because people like it. So personally, I don't think that the value of Alterts are going to tank. At the end of the day, it's always like people's free choice whether they want to keep them or not. But again, it's not really an investment deal since it's a hobby. I will say SPs are always a good investment because they've all been trending high and they're more collector pieces. But I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't influence you one way or the other.
Yeah. I also don't like the argument, too, of like, oh, this was the pattern in Yu-Gi-Oh, so this is what's going to happen, or this is the pattern in Pokemon, this is what's going to happen. Because I feel like in general, like Yu-Gi-Oh, a lot of card prices, I would say the large majority of card prices was driven by playability.
I'd say roughly like 85%.
Yeah, but for Pokemon, I'd say it's inverted where the driver for prices is collectability.
I also agree with that.
But
especially
I think One
looking at
Piece is
modern
somewhere in the
Pokemon.
middle, right? So
One Piece is very similar to Magic in terms of prices, I think.
Yeah, but it's like there's cards that are expensive because of the collectability. Like for example, the SP Boa from Set 9 is like $300. The Boa 6 drop's not really a good card, but people love Boa, so you know, it's expensive, right?
Or
Same
like
with the
even
manga
looking
rares.
at a lot of like manga rares, are most of the manga rares in the game playable? Like most of them aren't. Like if you told me that
Shanks.
yeah, like
The
well,
9-drop Shanks.
yeah,
is
I was gonna
one.
say Set 1 Shanks is not a very playable card, but the manga rare is like, I believe it's currently the Set 1 is over 1.2 grand. It's like, yeah, it's worth something. Is it a good card? No, but it's like that collector half. On the opposite side of stuff, you have things like, let me see what I got over here. This Smoker Leader, which is currently sitting at around like $80. And is it like very collectible? Not like, it is kind of collectible because it's from the new set, it's much more available. So it's like you have to like balance out where your value's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was kind of my 2 cents on it, is that I don't like to use analogies from other card games. It's like, yes, can we make predictions? Sure. But is that going to be exactly what happens in the One Piece card game? We don't know, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Who knows what Bandai's going to do? Like, at the moment, we're saying rotation's a good idea, but Bandai could totally botch it a year from now. Like, for all we know, right? It's like, we've seen examples of games that never have rotated, like Yu-Gi-Oh, which, like, should Yu-Gi-Oh be a rotating format? That's a whole nother can of worms in of itself, based on the history and blah blah blah. And then, you know, Pokemon and Magic having rotation for as many years as they did. Honestly, in the comments too, I want to put this out there too. For those of you that disagree with the rotation, you know, please let us know too. I mean, you guys have like listened to our thoughts for the past hour or so. I mean, it's only fair that we hear yours, right? So yeah, put your thoughts down in the comments if you agree with us, especially if you disagree with us. I want to know too, for those of you who are disagreeing with rotation, have you guys played the rotating games like Pokemon and Magic? Have you experienced those rotations before? And if you have, please, you know, I really want to hear your thoughts. Like, elaborate why you think rotation would not be good, because I think that would be a really interesting point.
Yeah, let us know in the comments below. One of these days, you'll have to see my collection and know how bad a spender I am.
But any final thoughts, guys?
I'm excited. I can't wait. I'll see you all at the upcoming regionals.
Format will be fun. Can't wait to see you guys at the regionals going forward.
Awesome. Well, with that, again, thank you guys so much for watching. This is the IchinoseSound podcast, episode 9. Remember to like and subscribe. Let us know just let us know if you like us yapping like this, so we can keep doing it. And we will see you in the next one.
See you guys.
Take
Bye,
it
guys.
easy.